other amp modelers are completely cooked with this price point. So Fractal Audio finally did the unthinkable, and they put every other amp modeling company on notice because they did something that the amp modeling world has been begging Fractal to do for at least a decade. And that is make a small footprint amp modeler at a competitive price point that competes with the Line 6 HX Stomp, the Impero, and the Headrush stuff. Yes, Fractal just unveiled the AM4, and it is less than $700. Let's get into it. So who is the AM4 for? Because I did this video recently, about a year ago, when Fractal unveiled the VP4, which was their virtual pedal board. And one of the things that I thought was unnecessary, in hindsight is now 2020, but 4 effects from a Fractal standpoint is simply not enough. I made the case saying that, maybe at any given time, 4 might be as many as you need if you're having a virtual pedal board. But this all makes so much more sense now, because if you compare the AM4 with the VP4, you have an entire rig right there from a Fractal standpoint, still around the $1,200, $1,300 bucks, which competes with the Helix unit. Not the new Helix Stadium, but at least the old Helix models. Fractal finally has something around $1,000, less than $1,000, that can actually compete with like the Line 6 HX Stomp. So if you've always wanted some Fractal gear, but always thought it was way too expensive, the VP4 paired with an AM4, or maybe even just the new AM4 might be for you. So in this video, we're gonna be talking about what the AM4 is, who's the AM4 for, some features, the price point, and should you be buying the AM4 going into 2026. My name is Ryan. I talk a lot about amp modelers here on this channel, so if that's of interest to you and you're curious about the AM4 by Fractal Audio, let's get into it. So the AM4 is Fractal Audio's new amp modeler that is a 4-button switch amp modeler this time around that allows you to have the same tones as the flagship AX3, XFX3, or something like the FM9, FM3. Same algorithm, same tone, same Dynacabs, which are XFX's new cabinet simulation modules where you can adjust the microphone position, which is huge. I was always kind of jealous that Line 6 had that, but now XFX finally has it. So it's that stuff plus like 85 different effects. So you really have a one-and-all rig when you're thinking of the new AM4. You're just limited to 4 different switches compared to like the FM9 or FM3, which has 3, so this is actually better. But it's small, and it's lightweight, and it's compact, and it's under $700. I think that is the biggest selling point here. Sure, it's $699, but it's still under $700. That is competing with the Line 6 HX Stomp XL. So I just checked on Sweetwater. Today is November 24th, 2025. The Line 6 HX Stomp XL is $100 off on sweetwater.com right now. It is listed at $650. This new Fractal AM4 is $699. So for $50 more than the Line 6 HX Stomp, you'll get the amp modeling unit that came out in the end of 2025, 2026, is infinitely better sounding. If it's the same sounds that I have on this FM9, the sounds are infinitely better than the Line 6 HX Stomp. Now, when you think about the Line 6 HX Stomp XL, sure, it came out in 2021, but in reality, the HX Stomp came out in 2018. The XL is just a more highly processing power, so you have a little bit more effects and a little bit more foot switches. So you're talking about, for $50 more, you can get the Fractal stuff in the Line 6 HX Stomp. It is a no-brainer. It is an absolute game changer. And if you're like, well, 4 switches, that's not enough. Check out all these videos that I have on this channel of how you can utilize different functionalities of the Fractal stuff, because I promise you, like, yes, 4 switches is not enough if you're coming from something like the Helix. or someone like the HX Stomp XL. But there are workarounds, whether it's through snapshots, whether it's through the song presets mode, which I think is the coolest mode ever. The Stomp Box mode might be a little bit limited with only 4 switches, but this is the cool thing. This is the cool thing. If you want more, you can get the VP4 and pair it with the AM4. And they actually say, Cooper Carter says it in their promo video, which is pretty sick, is you can put the two together. And then you have 8. And 8 is perfectly enough for, I'm going to argue, 99% of us Axe-Fx users out there. For any one preset, any one live song, rig, whatever, 8-foot switches is going to be enough. And when you look at 8-foot switches compared to the Fractal FM9, which has 9-foot switches, the price point is still better. So AM4 plus the VP4, $1,400. As of today, November 24th, 2025, Axe-Fx is having a sale. You can get the FM9 Turbo Mark II for $1,700, $100 off of the $1,800 price. So for $400 less, you get the same tones. It doesn't have the same quality processing power. You might be limited in that regards. I'm not sure how the different cores are going to be split up with the FM9. The really cool thing is that like the reverbs and delays have its own core, so you can truly never really max out the DSP power. Looking at the website, I don't think the new AM4 has separate cores, but that's okay. If you've always wanted to try the Fractal stuff out, but always thought it was too expensive, here is your gateway into Fractal land. And welcome, because you're going to be blown away. You're going to realize, okay, Fractal has always had something a step above everybody else. I've said this for years. I've been a Fractal boy since like 2012. Fractal has an awesome, superior product, but a completely inferior marketing and distribution center. And maybe that's by design. I don't know if that's by design or not. Cliff might think, hey, for the best product, we have to limit the amount. So we're not going to put it in every major retailer like, Line 6 does, or Quad Cortex. But this is an absolute floodgate of hopefully new Fractal players here, because Fractal is finally affordable. And it's about time. Other amp modelers are completely cooked with this price point. You are competing with the standard HX Stomp, which was the standard for years. And it is still being sold at the same price point that this new amp modeler for Fractal is. I'm just blown away, and I am so excited, and I'm kind of jealous that this didn't exist 15 years ago when I started. Sure, it has a new design for the AM4 edit. I imagine it's kind of similar to the FM9 edit or the Axe-Fx edit. Plenty of videos on the internet, plenty of videos on that channel if you're not familiar, if you're just starting out with the AM4. The cool thing, like most ecosystems, is that if you learn one system, it carries over to the other product. AM4, I'm sure, is a little bit more streamlined because you're only dealing with 4 effects. But this is a really, really cool product. I think this is for anybody who wants to get involved in amp modeling. And is very hesitant because they've always heard it doesn't sound exactly the same. The Fractal stuff, if you put on a pair of headphones and you plug in your guitar, you're not going to be able to know the difference. Fractal stuff is truly, truly a step above the rest from every other amp modeling system, and that's not hyperbolic. That's not open for comparison. Like it's true. So the new AM4 by Fractal, truly changing the game here. I know I was rambling a little bit. I just got super excited and wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on who I think the new Fractal AM4 is for. And I think it's for anybody. Anybody who wants to dabble in amp modeling. It's coming over from the tube amplifier world. Anybody who maybe has a Line 6 HX Stomp and thought, hey, this is pretty good, but I wish I had some more features, sounded a little bit better. Honestly, somebody coming over from the Helix, I haven't put my hands on the Helix Stadium yet, so hard to tell, but those price points, I mean, that's the same price point as the flagship models of the XFX. So $700, less than $700, you get yourself into the XFX Ego, and you can really see what it's all about. Really get those feelings, really get those sweet, awesome tones for a reasonable price for an amp modeling system. If you're thinking about getting one, if you're thinking about buying an Amp Pro, if you're thinking about buying our Head Rush, I strongly recommend, without even playing this, strongly recommend the Fractal stuff. Add an extra $100, save up an extra $100, get the things that will actually sound incredible. So let me know what you think of the new AM4. You plan on picking one up? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the Fractal family, welcome. Check out this playlist over here. It goes over everything that I've done on this channel related to Fractal. Tips, tricks, everything from live to getting sweet, awesome tones in the bedroom. And then this is what YouTube thinks that you're going to enjoy the most. Happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm excited. Fractal's finally stepping into their own. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. And until then, let the music play.